All right, y'all. So I'm back with another part of the story. We left off where I said we kicked the crackhead out of my sister's apartment that I was living with at the time, and he moved out. He went and stayed somewhere everywhere, y'all. So after that, then I go into being homeless. So I'll tell you guys how I became homeless and everything else that went on at that time. So I'll call it the blessing. So everything goes down with us that night, fighting and everything. And so time passes. He ends up violating his probation. He goes to prison this time. So he's in prison now for a year. So while he's gone off to prison and everything, of course, I'm still with him. Now he's writing and calling, and I'm spending all this money on, phone calls and trying to, send him paper and stuff like that. And so, while doing that, we started running into some problems at my sister's place. So her boyfriend and then mine were staying there. So I'm not going to tell her side of the story. I'm going to tell my side of the story. So what it had to do with me was that her bills and stuff were already kind of sky high when I came into the picture. And so I was trying to help bring things down and get them to a balanced level where we can all handle it, with two incomes, really. It was three, but then something happened and it went down to only two incomes, which was hers and mine's. So, make a long story short, it didn't work. I tried everything I possibly could to keep us afloat. It didn't work. It only put me in a hole. And so, at this point, there's no other way to go except for we got to move out of this place. So, that's what happens. So, shortly after he goes to prison, we end up moving out of the place, which I just came back from doing the hotel living. That wasn't gonna work for me again because that's too much money and I want a place, you know what I'm saying? So trying to save and get a spot or whatever, it just ain't working because I still gotta put food in me and my son belly. I still have to make sure we have other things that we need. I have to make sure I have gas to get back and forth to work. And I'm gonna say it's a blessing because I didn't lose neither one of my jobs. I still maintained the two jobs that I had in the midst of all of this going down. So we end up moving out of the place or whatnot. And so with nowhere to go. So like our first night out of the place, we end up sleeping in the car. And so I stayed in the car. Me and my son lived in the car for 6 months. I ain't tell nobody. Nobody knows what's going on except for me and the sister who I was living with in the apartment or whatever. So this whole time I'm around people. I ain't telling nobody nothing because I'm embarrassed. I didn't want to tell anybody I was homeless and living in my car. So, so I kept it to myself as long as I could until one day came where I ended up, because we were, showering and keeping ourselves clean at parks, Walmart, Publix, wherever we could go to clean our bodies. We cleaned our bodies every single day. And so I just wanted to take a shower. I hadn't had a shower in a minute, but I was still, cleaning myself every single day. But, so I ended up having to go to my oldest sister's house, like with Tashana, to go and pick up some mail, either take her some mail. I think pick up some mail from her house for my baby sister or whatever. And when I got there, I was just like, because I just didn't, think of anything. I just asked her, can I take a shower and stuff. So I asked her, could me and my son take a shower? And she was like, yeah. Because she looked at me weird because she didn't know why I was asking her, can I take a shower at her house? Because from what she knows, I'm living in an apartment in Cocoa with my baby sister. And so there's no need for me to be asking, could I take a shower at her house when I could just go home and take a shower? But, she not thinking two things of it or whatever. She's just like, sure, you can take a shower or whatever. So we take our showers and everything. And so when I come out of the shower, she asked me, she said, I'm just curious. She was like, not that it was a problem that y'all took a shower here. She's like, I just want to know why you couldn't wait till you got home to take a shower. And I was just like, I was like, I just want to, take a shower here or whatnot. And so I'm not going to tell everything. I'm telling my side of the story. It's more to the story, but I'm just going to tell my side of the story. So, now we did, when we moved out of the apartment, we did get a room for one night. We were going to try and get it for a week, but we didn't have enough funds. So we only did it for a night. And so after that night was up, I was able to do another night. So me and my sister paid for a night, and then I paid for the next night myself to stay in the room or whatever. And so after that was a wrap, because I still gotta pay for gas, still gotta get food, still gotta, do everything else I gotta do to keep us situated. So this is at the end of the 6-month mark of sleeping in the car, and nobody knows anything. And so this day that I went and took a shower at my sister's house was the day she found out that me and my son had been homeless and living in the car for 6 months or whatnot. So she was under the impression that we were staying in a hotel the whole time. She didn't know we were living in the car. So I told her that we were not living in a hotel. We were actually staying in the car. And so she was like, my sister has a very, very big heart. She loves her family. When I say she loves her family, she loves her family. And I could have went and stayed with them, but I didn't want to go and stay with them. I wanted to have my own place, and I didn't want to burden anybody else with my problems. So me and my son still survived. I just didn't want to tell anybody. It was embarrassing. So, even though me and her have a close connection or whatever, I still didn't want to tell anybody that me and my son has been staying in this car. So the new truck that I had got, the SUV that I got after he totaled my car, was our home for 6 months. So we lived in that car. So I knew once my sister came and asked me the questions that she was asking me, I knew she wasn't finna allow me and my nephew to sleep in the car again. I knew it was over at that moment. And so she was just like, well, y'all can stay here and until you get on your feet or whatever, and then you go and get your place or whatnot. And so I didn't want to do it. I didn't. I don't want to put no burdens on nobody. It is what it is. We homeless. We still good. We got a roof over our head, whether it's a car or not. We still had food in our bellies. We weren't going hungry. We wasn't going without. The only thing we didn't have was a building with 4 windows and a door and a back door, a house, apartment, or whatever. We just didn't have that, but we did have the car. So that was that. We ended up having family reunion coming up the week before that happened. So the week after that happened, I'm sorry. So we come to the family reunion, and family came in and everything. And so one of my aunts came in who had a place, and she was living by herself. She had a 1-bedroom apartment or whatnot, but I'm trying to kind of get somewhere, so I was praying and asking God to lead me to the place where the doors will open up for me. And I heard him say my hometown without a shadow of a doubt. And I'm just like, oh, Lord, nope. I say anywhere but there. Just give me another place, Lord. And he said, no, I told you to go there. That's where your blessings are. Just go. So me, gotta be obedient. So I went. And sure enough, the doors opened up for me. And it turned out to be a blessing. You know what I'm saying? So I talked to my aunt once the family reunion came around, and I asked her, could I go back with her to, because my oldest sister, Life with Tashana, lives in Orlando. And so we're from Vero Beach. So that's an hour away from where my sister stayed. So I asked her, could me and my son come stay with her till we get on our feet? And then, I provide the food. Everything that I was doing while we were homeless, I was going to do the same thing when I stayed with her, like I did when I stayed with anybody or whatever. I always took care of me and my son, and I did for the household too. You know what I'm saying? So she said, yeah, that's fine. That's cool. We can do this. I'm going to help you out. So I went on ahead and went to her house, and that's how I met the last narc that I was dealing with currently 3 months ago. That's how I met him. But I know him since childhood. He was my crush when I was a little young girl, and when I got older, me and him connected, and we started dating, and we dated for 4.5 years. Okay, so that's how this came. So all of my stories are like back to back. So they all go hand to hand, because I went only a little bit of time in between these relationships before I, got the next one. So I didn't go like years apart or whatever. So after the crackhead, I ran into the current narc, is basically what I'm saying. So I met him when I moved in with my aunt. He was living around the corner. Now that I know and I look back at the story, he was living with a woman around the corner who was bedridden. So when I tell you they'll date anybody that they can use, they'll date anybody. This lady was a big woman who cannot, she couldn't walk. So she was bedridden. But he was supposedly engaged to her. You know what I'm saying? And so he was playing games. So when he stepped to me and was flirting with me all that time, he was living with that woman. But I didn't know, because I've never seen anybody. I never seen him with any other women. I didn't even see him like that. So I didn't know him per se like that to know that he had somebody or, what he had going on. He just was a nice guy stepping to me, asking me out for dates and stuff. So that's how I ran across him. And that's how he comes to play into this story. So now I'm there. I'm at my aunt's house or whatnot. And he lives right around the corner. I'm still dating the crackhead at this time. He's still in prison. I'm talking about, we got books and books and books of letters that he write me and I write him. And I mean, he made sure he stayed writing me every single day. I got a phone call every single day. If I didn't put money on the phone, his mom put money on the phone. Somebody put money on the phone, because this man was going to talk to me every single day. So yes, when I had the opportunity to leave him when he went to prison, I still didn't take it. Because when he go to prison or go to jail, that gives us a break between the drugs. But what I did find out was that when he was in prison, he was still getting hold to all of the extracurricular stuff that he was doing on the outside. He was getting that in prison. So he wasn't missing out on nothing. And I was trying to tell him, I'm like, you still looking like you losing weight. Now, when you go to jail, you gain weight. When he went to prison, he stayed small. And I could tell when he done smoked, because he get bags under his eyes. When he was in prison, every time I came to visit him, he had them same bags under his eyes that he had when he was out in the streets. And so I was conversing with somebody at work one day, and they was like, oh yeah, nah, don't be fooled, because they can get the same drugs off the streets in prison too. He was like, so don't think he ain't in there doing no drugs. And I'm sitting there like, how the freak? So when he told me that, I was like, you know what, he ain't lying, because I see the bags under his eyes. But no, I still wanted to believe what he was telling me. So it is what it is. So I move in with my auntie. Things start moving quickly, and blessings just started coming out of nowhere, y'all. So moving with my auntie, before I left Orlando, of course, I did a transfer from one of the jobs that I was working, which was 7-Eleven. So when I tried, because I was going to try to do 2 jobs at the same time while I moved there too, but the Wawa job, they weren't hiring at the time when I got there. So 7-Eleven was available to me. So I went into 7-Eleven as a regular employee, and 3 months after working there, because I had already had the experience and everything, the only thing I didn't have was the management experience. But they taught me all that. So 3 months after working there, I got the management position. So I became a manager at 7-Eleven. That was a blessing. First time being a manager and, making some decent money. And so I was happy I could do something with this now. You know what I'm saying? So after that, doors just started opening up and opening up and opening up. So here I am, so when I ask people, can I come stay with them? I give myself a time limit. And I don't try to go over that time limit at all. 6 months or 3 months, I needed 6 months. 6 months to a year to get myself fully together and get me a place for me and my son. And that's all I got. That's all I needed. I stayed a year at my aunt's house, and at the end of that year, I was in my own place. So here I am. I'm working. I'm busting my behind. I'm doing what I gotta do. I'm flowing in life. I'm going to church. I got a clear mind. I'm getting a break from him. I'm going to see him. I'm writing him. Everything just flowing. Everything is good right now. So it comes time for me to find a place to live. And I tried a couple other places because it was hard for me because I had eviction on my name. So I couldn't just go and just get a place like that. So I had to really find somewhere for me to get a place or whatever, because I went back to the same state that I had the eviction in. So I'm like, Lord, this is going to be hard. That's why I was like, Lord, I don't think you want me to go back there, because I got an eviction on my hand. But that's why I had to trust him at. And so here I am thinking of an apartment or something. I just needed somewhere for us to live, so I can get out of my aunt's house and get into my own space. Baby, when I tell you God came through, he came through. Even though it was some shady stuff went down, God still came through. I got to feel what it felt like to have a house. Thought it was going to be mine, but like I said, some shady stuff went down with the house. But I am thankful that I got to live in it for a year, and I got to see what it felt like to have a house. I had a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2 full bath house. Big kitchen, a laundry room, 2 living rooms, 3 bedrooms. One had a sky view in it. It was really, really nice, y'all. I had never had something. I had never had a house before, and then let alone it be that nice. I felt good. You know what I'm saying? I was like, look at my hard work that I put into getting this house and furnishing. I mean, this house was empty when me and my son moved in it. We was sleeping on the floor. The TV was on the floor. I mean, I furnished every room in that house. And I was so happy and proud of myself because I had the funds to do so. So it was awesome, y'all. God was just like blessing me left to right. So we'll get back to the house on another story topic, because that's a story all in itself. about what went down with that. But like I said, I'm still thankful that I got the experience that I got. So, moving forward, now it's time for him to get out of prison. So, here I am, the current narc is still popping his head in and out at this time in the story, because the house ends up being the current narc's cousin's house. So he know where I stay at. He, you know what I'm saying, he could pop up anytime he wants to because he knows where I am. He seen me there. And so once he seen where I lived, he would just come by and he would knock on the door sometimes and try to give me gifts and things like that. And I told him, you know, I'm in a relationship. So I stopped answering the door. He befriended my son. So if my son came home with random money in his hands, I knew who gave it to him because it was him. He would just do stuff. Like one time he stole my son scooter from the park, took it to his mom's house, and he did it so that way I could find out where his mom stay at and where he's at most of the time or whatever. And so, I mean, it just, he did a lot of stuff in the beginning that was kind of cute. And, you know, I ain't had nobody do nothing like that before or whatever. So he just was doing little gestures to keep me, like, you know what I'm saying, staying in my forefront, because I told y'all, when the night before I went to go and pick up, the day before I went to go pick up the crackhead from prison, the current narc had pulled up in my driveway. Well, he pulled up on the edge of the road, the grass and the dirt road. He pulled up and parked his truck there, and he sat outside his truck, well, turned around in his truck, put his foot down, and told me I was going to be his wife. So he's been checking for me since he seen me at my aunt's house. Since then, he had never stopped showing his face. You know what I'm saying? He was kind of, when I think about it now, I would run into him everywhere because he would honk his horn at me. And if I hear a horn and I see a hand throw up in the air, I know it's him. He always made sure I knew he was around or whatever. And so just little things he would do. But, you know, so I had already talked to him and told him that I was not going to make any moves while I'm in a relationship with the crackhead, because I don't move like that. I'm not going to go out of one door and enter into another one, and this door isn't completely closed. And so I had explained that to him, but that didn't stop him from showing his face and, you know, staying in my forefront. So the day before I go and pick him up, he comes to the house and tells me that I'm going to be his wife. And he said, all I want to know is that if things don't work out with you and the crackhead, will you give me a chance? And I told him, I will give you a chance. I say, but don't think that I'm going to sit here and make things go wrong in this relationship just to give you that chance. I'm going to roll until the wheels fall off. And if the wheels fall off, then yes, once I heal and get myself together, I will give you a chance. And he said, that's all I needed to know. And he drove off into the sunset and went on by his merry little way. And I still see him around town or whatever. And, you know, once the crackhead got out of prison or whatever, he didn't like show up at the house or anything like that, but he always stayed close by, because something happened one night. He had my cousin call me just to check on me to make sure I was okay, because I guess he heard pow pow shots in the air or something like that, so he just wanted her to check on me. Like I told y'all, he was my cousin's cousin on her daddy's side of the family. So yeah, you just got to go back all the way to the beginning of the story to get all of this information that I've already put out. So this is nothing new that I'm saying. This is just for the ones who are popping in, and this might be the only video you watch. And so I'm just breaking it down a little more. But you all that's been with me, y'all know the story. Y'all know how it is. So now I go and get the crackhead out of prison or whatever, and everything going good for about a month. He was good. He was sober. He wasn't doing any drugs, because at this time he was just staying in the house, and he was really acting like he was, you know, doing really, really good. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, okay, he changed. It's real. He finally changed. And so He got a job. Soon as he got the job, that's when all hell broke loose. So he started this job working with this landscaping business or whatever, and he that same day he found out who does the same drug he do, where the man that to get the drugs from, and all this here good stuff. He found all of that out in a day worth of work. So when he came home, he came in and put his stuff down and he hit the streets. And I'm just like, well, dang, where you going? You know what I'm saying? I thought maybe he was just going out in the yard to do something or whatever, because we had a nice yard. And, you know, you could walk from this end of the yard, or you could walk from that end of the yard and stuff like that. So I just thought he walked outside to go in, you know, maybe hang out or do something in the yard, because that's what he was doing when he got out of prison. He was on the straight and narrow when he got out. So when the change happened, it was just like a snap of the finger. I blinked my eye and he was back on crack. So he's sitting out there talking to this man. I don't know this man. I mean, I'm from Vero Beach, but I was living in a different city called Wabasso. And so I don't know everybody around Wabasso. I know a lot of people in Vero Beach, Gifford. So he was just wandering around, you know, meeting different people, because I stay to myself. I'm a stay to myself kind of person. I don't mess with a lot of people because I don't like the drama. I like to just chill. When I want to do what I want to do, I do what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? So he's standing out there talking to this guy that I've never seen before or whatever, but this guy got on the same work uniform he got on. So when I dropped him off at work, it was dark. It wasn't that many people there, but he could get in the work van and wait, because I had to be to work at a certain time and he had to be to work at a certain time. So on my way going to work, I would drop him off. And so being that it was a little earlier than what he needed to be there, he just get inside of the work van and sit there until the people come to the yard and start loading up the trucks or whatever. So one of the people he worked with, once I found out, just about everybody that worked out there was one of them people. Same kind of people he was. Yep. So, baby, they was doing it on the job, off the job, before they go to the job. It was just crazy. He stayed on that job for about 3 months. So then after that job, he started bouncing jobs. Bouncing until, you know what he does after that. Then he quit. So he worked this job or whatever for 3 months, and he was kind of keeping it on the low, you know what I'm saying, for the most part. And then I started seeing some of the same routines going on, you know what I'm saying, but he trying to hide it, so it look a little different now. But he just doing weird stuff, like he would come from outside and I would be sitting on the couch and my cup would be sitting right here. My cup been sitting here all day. Now you come in the house, you want to rearrange stuff that's sitting next to me, and I'm just like, what are you doing? He was just like, oh, I didn't want you to knock your cup over, because he hide his mind. So I'm like, I'm peeping stuff. I'm like, that made no sense. Why you go, what, my cup? And this is an actual thing that happened. I'm telling y'all what actually happened. So he comes from outside. My cup, my cigarettes, my ashtray, my phone, something else was sitting on his table. He done came in the house just randomly, swapping everything around on the table. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Why you changing stuff around on the table? He's like, oh, because I ain't want you to knock your cup over. My cup been sitting there the whole time, sir, and I ain't knocked it over. My cup is fine. Leave it alone. So then he'll walk past and he got his head cocked to the side. And I'm like, why you walking like that? Because at this moment, I don't know he's high. I'm learning that he done got back on this stuff now. You know what I'm saying? So he acting a little different now that he done, you know, started back doing it, he trying to do it so I can't catch that he's high right now. So when he walking with his head cocked to the side. And I'm like, why you walking like that? And then I looked at his lips, his mouth twitching and doing all kind of funky stuff that I had never seen before. So that means he had just hit it, because by the time he usually come back around me, he done stopped yaking. Basically is what it's called. He done stopped yaking by the time he done came back home to me. But this time he had literally just hit it. And so he yaking and all that good stuff all at the same time. And I'm sitting here like, I said, are you high? He's like, yeah, I just smoked some weed. No, no, because I know what weed do to you. Weed don't do that. I said, no, that ain't weed. I said, so you finna get back out here on this stuff. He was like, it's just one time. He was like, dude had some, and he told me to try it out for him because he wanted to know if it was a real thing. I said, so you gonna try the same mess that you pulled with the pipe? I said, stop it. Cut it out. So at this point, he back on it, and let the fun begin. Not the fun, but let all the games begin. So this is him fresh out 3 months after he done got out of prison or whatever. He done started working. He was doing good at one point. Now he's back on the drugs, heavy. So I'm gonna leave y'all right there, and we'll get back to another part of the story. Y'all have a great day. I love you guys. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And like I always say, fall in love with yourself more and more every day, even if it's a little bit at a time, one step at a time, one day at a time. It does not matter, just as long as you loving on you, because you deserve it. Y'all have a great day. Mwah.